court? What forms do I need to fill out? How do I complete those forms? Those are all things that you can refer to me. I schedule appointments with folks, and we'll come up here to Telluride, I'll meet them in Montrose, and we'll sit down with them and help them complete forms. I'll answer any questions that they have. Again, what can I expect when I'm going through divorce? What can I expect when I go into a protection order hearing? What kind of information does the judge need to know? I just can't tell them you should or you shouldn't do X, Y, or Z. The types of cases that I handle, like I mentioned a couple, domestic cases, so that would be divorce, allocation of parental responsibilities, or that's what we call custody here. Protection orders, civil protection orders, things like name changes for adults and children, evictions, small claims issues, basically anything that's not bankruptcy or criminal related. So if there's questions on those things, they probably need to seek their own attorney to get those questions answered. So if you do have a client that needs legal representation and they're low income, we do have a program that serves San Miguel County Lincoln Padre Volunteer Legal Aid Program. I didn't bring any of their information. I actually thought that they were coming, but they're not, so that's okay. So if you have clients in that situation where you think that they need legal representation, then feel free to contact me and I can put you in touch with the coordinator over there. And cases that take priority for that program are cases involving domestic violence and when there's kids involved. So I'm going to guess that those are many of the folks that you all are going to be helping. So don't hesitate. If you think that they need an attorney or they're in a situation where they're being pressured or bullied and they can't go into court on their own, feel free to call me, or they've got a website too, Lincoln Padre Volunteer Legal Aid. I've got some flyers here, kind of outlines the types of cases that I help folks with, and has my direct number on it. So you can feel free to call me on the direct number. You can hand it out to the folks that you're working with too directly if you don't want to get involved with that. Just pass those around. And people can contact me. Really good about getting back to phone calls. I think you guys have my email address, and I don't mind if you share that internally. I just don't like that to go public. Otherwise, it would be floodgates that I couldn't. Another event that I'm hosting, I've got coming up on this Friday. I know it's a little bit short notice, but if you're interested in learning about some other areas of the law that you might not be as familiar with, we've got a session on Friday that's our courts. It explains the court system, how cases progress through, what judges want to see, those kinds of things. And then the other one I thought that might be of interest to you all is the options for grandparents and family caregivers. I don't know so much about San Miguel County, but I see this more in Montrose and Delta, where you have grandparents raising their grandchildren, because for whatever reason, mom and dad are just unavailable or able to take on that responsibility. So, have I covered?
When and where is that Friday?
Yes. It's in Montrose at the courthouse on Friday. I'm going to pass those around. If you're interested, feel free to give me a call or just show up. We've got plenty of space available. 9 o'clock, we're hosting an agency breakfast. I know Deanna's coming from your office. If you want to come to the breakfast, just give me a call, let me know, and certainly as folks that are going to be part of the agency, I'd extend that invitation to you. So it's a great way to meet other people that do similar things to what you do throughout our entire district. So I'm happy to answer questions specific questions on protection orders, divorces, custody, anything like that if there are any.
If you could just maybe go over like a criminal protection order versus civil protection order and kind of what the client might expect from that, because I think that is a question that we get asked quite a bit.
Yeah, so the main questions I see with those, and when you have somebody who's coming in with a criminal protection order, their case is going to be M. It's going to be like 2015 M4. And that's how you're going to know that it's criminal. If it was a civil protection order, the middle letter is going to be C. Okay, so with the mandatory protection order, only the parties that were involved, or excuse me, the criminal protection order, only the parties that were involved in the incident can be on the protection order. So if mom and dad are having a domestic dispute and the kids aren't there, and dad gets taken away to jail, the protection order is probably only going to cover mom. And so sometimes you have situations where mom's concerned about the kids, but the kids weren't there during that time. So they tell her she has to come down and file a civil protection order and include the children on it. So civil protection orders can be filed at any time. Judges want those motions or requests for a protection order to be very specific. So that's something that when you're talking to people about filling these out, that it's really important to stress. If there was obscene language used, encourage them to include that specific language in the actual motion. Encourage them to print out any threats or anything that are coming by text message or Facebook or email, anything like that. And it can't just be on the phone. You can't just bring your iPhone in and say, well, this is what he did or this is what he said. Some judges will look at that. Some judges take the approach that, okay, that's what you're submitting as evidence, I'm taking your entire phone. So it's important for them to get that information off the phone, off of Facebook, and you've got to be able to prove who the message was from, who the message was sent to, and the time and date that the message was sent. But I can't stress enough that people seeking protection orders need to be very specific in the motion that they file with the court. And the way that those work is, so say someone were to come into your office and you helped them fill out a civil protection order. They would go before the judge, most likely the day that they filed that. And they'll be there in front of the judge without the other party. Again, encourage them when the judge asks, what's going on? Why are you asking for this? Be specific. He said he was going to kill me. He said he was going to kill himself. He said he was going to do this. They have to be specific and tell the judge why they're seeking the protection order. So if the temporary protection order is granted, the court will, within about 2 weeks, set a permanent order hearing. So the protected party will be responsible for serving the restraining party. And I always encourage people when they're in a protection order situation, have the sheriff's department do it. Anybody over the age of 18 who's not a party to the case could do the service. But when you've got issues of domestic violence or other things going on, to put a friend or a family member in that position to go serve a document like that is probably not a good idea. So when I know that there's a history of domestic violence and that's why the person is in seeking protection order, just have the sheriff's department serve it. Stay out of that. Yeah?
And do the sheriffs do it for free, or?
It depends on which county you're in. I know in Montrose they do it for free quite a bit. I'm not sure what the policy is up here. Because there's no filing fee to file a protection order, and I think that most of the time they will go ahead and serve those.
So an individual, they can just go to the county courthouse, go to up to the court section and do that? They have to actually go in front of a judge, or?
So they can go and get the paperwork. They'll give them a packet. It'll have all the forms that they need. So it'll be the motion or the complaint for the protection order. If there are children, there'll be an affidavit for children. So you'll have to include the names of the children, the birth dates, things like that. And then lastly, there'll be what they call an incident checklist. That looks like a spreadsheet. And on the far left-hand side of it are a list of terrible things that a person could do to another person. So that needs to be completed, and if that terrible thing happened, when it happened, the best that they can remember, whether there was any physical injury as a result of that happening, and whether they contacted law enforcement. So that'll get filed. Then the judge will take a look at be that the judge just wants to talk to the person by phone, since we don't have a county court judge that's here all day, every day. So it might be a phone hearing,
Okay.
if that's the issue.
And the criminal protection order is,
Is a question for that lady right there.
Yeah, I can answer about what the protection orders.
About mandatory protection orders, or?
Yeah, sure, if we want
Okay.
to.
She knows more about that than I do. I only handle the civil side of things. So I'll let the expert address that when it's her turn to talk to you guys. Other questions? But don't hesitate to call if you're not sure about something, or not sure what other resources might be available. Like I said, if you have clients that need pro bono representation and want to know what clinics are available up here, there's a virtual clinic at the library once a month. There's some other resources, but I just didn't bring any brochures for the pro bono program, but I'm happy to pass that on. I could even give you that gal's
Yeah.
email information.
Yeah, and I can email it.
And then
to
you can
everybody.
email it to everybody. Perfect.
Yeah, and it's always a good thing to know that a lot of people that we work with too can't necessarily afford legal representation, so if they have the opportunity to go to these clinics, it's really helpful for them.
Yeah, and sometimes the clinic does nothing more than put them in touch with, the right resources, or, sometimes they need assistance with housing or whatever, and that's always a good place to start finding other resources. So, great.
Thank you.
So good luck with the rest of your training.
This is our last night, actually.
Oh, awesome. Good.
That's right.
And
Pizza. That's why it's pizza.
yeah, if you're interested in coming to that event on Friday, or you have any questions about it, feel free to contact me. My number's on that flyer or on the business card.
And it's on our the resource list as well. That's in your